And welcome back to another episode of Pokemon Knowledge. Man, what an absolutely crazy week this has been. And that's the one thing about the Pokemon hobby that no one can deny. That Pokemon is absolutely just a roller coaster ride of all the news going on, all the exciting things happening. But yeah, so just this week, and this is well, first off, the topic of this video is going to be like, is Pokemon booming or busting? And the reason why I made this video is I've talked to you guys about this before in the past. When I start to get a thought in my head, all I want to do is make a video about it. All I want to talk about is that topic. But the problem I ran into recently was I have never in 1 week's time had so many topics and so many ideas come to me with just like great video topics and discussions. But the problem is I didn't want to talk about any of them because they all seem to be relatively negative, meaning a lot of the takes were, ooh, maybe Pokemon is crashing, maybe some bad things are going to happen, but that's not the video I want to make. So I just wasn't making them. That's why the last couple of days I didn't make a live. I was like, you know what? I have to not make a negative video. But in today's video, I do want to tackle a little bit of the negative stuff, but I also want to, tackle a little bit of the positive stuff because right now, what I'm seeing happen in this market is crazy. And I've talked about it before. I do believe that this market is extremely predictable, meaning everything that is happening right now makes sense. And why I say that, and it might look like doom and gloom to a lot of people, but I think everything is playing out the way a lot of us expected. First thing is Astral Radiance was released today. And just real quick, anybody out there who might just be tuning in, I definitely recommend you go into your GameStops and get your Astral Radiance promo. All you got to do is spend $15 at GameStop and you get the promo. So this isn't the one that has the GameStop in the corner, but it still has Astral Radiance. So if you haven't done that and you plan on buying some Pokemon cards in the next couple months, you might as well get the promo for free. So just remember GameStop, go in, spend $15, get your Astral Radiance promo. But yeah, it's just been a crazy week because I'm thinking about some of the stuff that happened. One, Pokemon Center had surprise drops of, different cards and different sets. The first ones were Evolving Skies, Pokemon Center ETBs. And now I had just made a video talking about how I had sold out on all my booster boxes of Brilliant Stars because I thought that there was going to be a reprint of Brilliant Stars booster boxes. And then I said I also sold everything except for one set of my Pokemon Center Evolving Skies ETBs because I just honestly wasn't sure if Pokemon Center was going to get a reprint of those or not. I was leaning towards yes, but there was no way to be 100% sure. So I did keep one set. Now, if I didn't keep that set and I decided to sell those two Pokemon Center ETBs, by not selling those, between the two of them, I left about $200 on the table. So is that kind of a bag? Yeah, in a way, because I really did think that those were going to get reprinted. Now, we did see one early wave go on. When I tell you those Pokemon Center Evolving Skies ETBs got eaten up really fast, it was crazy fast. And I almost for a while thought that maybe the Pokemon hobby had kind of moved out of that, like super hype, super, stonk out, let's buy out Pokemon Center. And I was like, okay, if Evolving Skies comes back out, it's probably going to have like a decent time on the website. Very similar to what we saw with Evolving Skies booster boxes. Booster boxes were on the Pokemon Center for, again, a super hot, probably like one of the hottest sets Pokemon has come out with in the last, decade. That sat on the Pokemon Center for over 24 hours, meaning it was there for literally over a day. And for their best of their best product to sit there for a day, I'm like, okay, if Pokemon reprints these ETBs, it will probably stick around for about the same window a day, not even close. Those sell out in like an hour. But this is the irony too, is right before those ETBs dropped, the Hidden Fates ETBs dropped. Now, do I think that Hidden Fates ETB drop was a reprint? No, I don't think it was a reprint at all. What I think happened was Pokemon just had some cases of ETBs sitting around for Hidden Fates, and they said, all right, we're just going to release them. But it seemed to be a relatively lot, meaning a lot of people were able to pick up those Hidden Fates ETBs. But it kind of just went back to this thought of, how dangerous modern investing is, and especially when it comes to reprints and speculating. And, a lot of people speculated on those Pokemon Center Evolving Skies ETBs as not having any sort of reprint, but they did. A lot of people are, speculating on Hidden Fates that we won't see anymore, which I think that's probably like a relatively good play. I don't think Hidden Fates is very high on the reprint list, but it did at least get me thinking. Pokemon, if they want, can reprint anything. And when I say anything, like, sure, that's pretty subjective, but they still have a timeline where really they can go back and reprint, I'd say anything to like Sun and Moon base, maybe, going back to XY, that's pretty highly unlikely. But I think of like, what has Pokemon done just in the last 2 years, which was a little shocking. One, they reprinted Pokemon Sun and Moon base set ETBs. Now, we know that those were reprints because the dates on the boxes they were shipped in at least said 2021. So now, were the actual ETBs printed in 2021? We don't know, but it's probably pretty likely, seeing how the actual container that they were shipped in had date stamps of 2021. And then, a lot of these modern promos, you think about people stonking out real hard on these modern promos. The great example that I just did a community post earlier today was the Pikachu on the ball. Now, that was originally, handed out in European like youth soccer leagues, and they were only handed out to kids and they weren't available to adults. And there was only like a finite amount of those, and no one actually knew the exact supply. Was it 400? Was it 1,000? How many? So a lot of people like invested really big in those. And they spent like, some people spent over $1,000 on that Pikachu on the ball card. Now, that card is going to get a reprint come winter 2022, and it's going to be available through stores very similar how like this Typhlosion is available right now today at GameStop as the Astro Radiance promo. All you got to do is spend $15 at GameStop to get this. Now, that Pikachu on the ball is going to be the same thing, but it's just going to be available in Europe where they originally released. And all you have to do again is spend, 15 pounds or whatever, 50, whatever their currency of wherever it's being released is. And it just gets you thinking. It's like, man, that market will just get destroyed. I mean, right now, there will definitely be a lag time. I'm sure if you went on eBay today and looked at current sales, I'm sure that card is probably selling for relatively high. Because one thing I've found out too, and I've talked about this before, while you, we might be super entrenched in this hobby and we know all the news that's going on day to day. We're very in the now. A lot of people aren't. So there's probably a decent amount of people out there who are still buying that Pikachu on the ball promo for pretty high inflated prices because they have zero clue that it's going to be reprinted in the winter of this year. Now, Pokemon didn't give an exact date of when that's going to come out, but it's that card now. It's not a question of if prices are going to drop. It's just now a matter of when prices really drop. And that's all it boils down to. Those prices will drop now that that card is mass produced. And there's other promos too that people are still stonking out hard on, which we don't really know if we'll see reprints too. And some of those cards I think about is like Special Delivery Pikachu, Special Delivery Bidoof, and Special Delivery Charizard. Special Delivery Charizard being kind of a caveat to that, right? Because Special Delivery Charizard hasn't officially been released yet. Yeah, we saw like a couple trickle through on the market. Were they stolen from the factory? Who knows? But we know that a couple of those exist. They sold. They've been graded now. So we definitely know the Special Delivery Charizard exists. The Sword and Shield booklet had it. Like, you can look, the card was actually listed in there. It has a promo. It's a real card. I still believe 100% that the Special Delivery Charizard will be released. Just for whatever reason, Pokemon is sitting back and waiting on it. Now, do you think about like how the Special Delivery Bidoof was rolled out? Special Delivery Bidoof was rolled out through like the most extreme lottery system ever. Pokemon Center would send you an email. You would say if you were interested in that card or not. And if you were very lucky to, first of all, get that email to even be eligible to say if you were interested in that card or not. And then if you selected yes, you were interested, they would send you a promo. So when you went to check out on Pokemon Center, you put in that promo, and then that card would be added to your checkout. And then the same thing, we saw what happened with the special delivery Pikachu, the very first of those cards. Now, this is the thing about all those. I don't see any reason why those cards can't be reprinted. I don't see any reason. The special delivery Bidoof being a big candidate for a reprint of just how it was released. Why Pokemon can't just start throwing those out to everybody? Is it a potential that we'll see like some kind of very specialized Pokemon Center product that will have special delivery Pikachu in it, special delivery Bidoof, and special delivery Charizard as like promos for some Pokemon Center exclusive item? Sure. Like, I am not ruling that off the table because at this point, anything is up in the air. Now, if Pokemon Center did decide to do that, where they're like, you know what, we are going to do exactly what you just said. We're going to release a special delivery Pikachu, Bidoof, and Charizard. And prices for those are going to crash too. So this is where a lot of that speculation comes in. But that's what we have to do, right? When you get into the niches of the niches, you got to start really speculating. And especially if you're even slightly considering buying any of this stuff, if you're really looking at the Pikachu or Bidoof or special delivery Charizard, again, special delivery Charizard being an outlier because it hasn't officially been released, you really have to think of what's the likelihood of these being reprinted. And in my opinion, they're pretty high. Now, are they guarantees? Who knows? But I would be very nervous buying those, especially on the secondary market. Ideally, you should try to get into those while they were being released. Special delivery Pikachu stayed in the Pokemon Center for about a week. All you had to do was spend $20. There was a lot of people bought a lot of Pokemon Center t-shirts and stuff because Pokemon cards were not really available at that time, and scooped up a lot of those special delivery Pikachus. So it's just weird. Like during the week that they were available, like people weren't going hard at them, but once they were no longer available, like everybody lost their mind, and it was like this very weird thing. Because I would say that the special delivery Pikachu wasn't released in a time where Pokemon wasn't getting really into the hype period. So it's just pretty fascinating. Like, I understand that it was a North American release only, so it wasn't available to the rest of the world. But some of the people I'm seeing buying this card were definitely from America and North America. And you got to ask a question like, why didn't you buy this card when it was available for the entire week? So I don't really know if we'll know the true answer to that. But then I'm just worried about so many things getting reprinted, and, cards and sets getting reprinted, like, what is one of the really detrimental things that has hurt battle styles right now, right? Is battle styles, some of the chase cards, which are VMAXs really considered chase cards, kinda, but like the Urshivu's and the VMAX cards in battle styles got reprinted in like battle decks and stuff and theme decks. So even some of the more chasier type cards weren't as desirable, which thus makes the booster box not as desirable. And when you look at something like a battle styles and you're like, well, even the decent VMAXs you can now get because they were reprinted. And the only thing really like letting this card be very good is like an Urshivu secret rare alternative art, and then the Tyranitar alternative art. It's like, man, Pokemon really beat down on that set. And it's like, well, what happens if they reprint any chase cards from any other sets? And it's like, well, will Pokemon really do that if the pull rates are super high already? And it's like, I don't know. This is all speculative, right? We do not know what Pokemon's going to do. And that's a crazy thing. Pokemon could do whatever they want. They could reprint anything at any point. Now, more recently, just in the last month, what were two ETBs that they reprinted? They reprinted Vivid Voltage. They reprinted Darkness Ablaze. Both of those ETBs before the reprint were selling for over $100. Immediately after those things were reprinted, prices for those crashed. They not only crashed to MSRP, you can pick up a lot of those below MSRP because people are really doing, like, really struggling to sell those, or at least fire sale them. And it's amazing whenever I go to stores, when I go to GameStop or when I go to Walmart or go to Target, it's the Vivid Voltage ETBs and the Darkness Ablaze ETBs are always the two ETBs that are sitting on the shelves, man. It's absolutely crazy because I'm like, man, remove a month ago, remove like 30 days worth of timeline. These things are $100 a piece. People would have went nuts to pick those up off the shelf. And it's scary, right? Because that's how fickle this hobby is. Fickle this modern market is that decent sized reprints can destroy anything. Now, it doesn't appear that Evolving Skies is getting an absolutely major reprint, but I wouldn't sleep on it. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if the reprint for Evolving Skies might be a little bit bigger than some people are saying, which if that happens, that can really destroy prices of Evolving Skies. Because one thing I have now found, especially when it comes to one of the reasons modern prices are really staying inflated and kind of rising in prices, is the sealed collector. I think we as collectors, we have people in this hobby, we need to come to the realization that sealed collectors is a relatively new thing, but it's a major thing. Like, the sealed collector aspect of Pokemon is so much different than it ever was in the past. And I've talked about it before. Other people have talked about it. Channels have talked about it. There were always like your cool trainer Ryans out there, people who had massive sealed collections, but those people were few and far between. Where now today, move into current modern, Pokemon investing, I would think that it would almost be harder to find just the strictly raw collector opposed to the person that is the sealed collector. So when you have that mindset, you have that change in collector investor, that just means a lot more of this product is being acquired relatively early on during the print runs or later in the print runs, because now we have a decent understanding of how Pokemon is rolling out, especially with the wave systems. When the wave systems were very initially released, with like Chill and Rain is a great example, real early on, and especially like Shining Fates too, but Chill and Rain real early on, booster boxes release hit up to prices of like 160. And then after the market cooled down a little bit, we got the second wave. They dropped down to like 120. And then that third wave of Chill and Rain came at like a perfect storm. It was Chill and Rain. And Evolving Skies dropped and Battle Styles dropped. And what happened to Chill and Rain prices? It just dropped down to like sub $80 at one point. I made a video titled, "As I Walk Through the Valley of the $79.95 booster boxes, I Fear No Evil." Chill and Rain booster boxes on eBay were sub $80. So, and why? Why did that happen? Because that reprint happened. Now, if that reprint didn't come along, would we have seen sub $80 booster boxes? No, we wouldn't have. Booster boxes would have stayed higher than where they were. But the problem is that extra flood of supplies, the market just wasn't able to eat up that supply. And if they were able to eat it up, they weren't able to eat it up fast enough. Me personally, I still like Chill and Rain. I think it's going to be a relatively good set. If you could get in at low enough price points, you're going to do really well. But if you got in, let's say you were that person that bought it at 160. Let's say you were the person that bought Shining Fates at 120 or Battle Styles from Pokemon Center at 144. This is a question I'm starting to like ponder and think about, is where is all that money going, right? Like, let's think about it that way. Because for every time you have a seller of an item, you have to have a buyer. And if the sellers are making the money, understanding the market, but the buyers are continuously making these mistakes time and time again. And this isn't a new conversation either. This is actually a really old conversation when you think about it, because I think we as a hobby in general have asked the same question over and over and over again with every single modern set that's released, is when you look at what singles are selling at pre-release prices before the set has officially been released, and you're like, okay, this card is probably going to retrace 50, 60, 80% in value. But yet there was always a buyer in order for that price to retrace. And we've talked about this more times than I could count it. We'll never know, like, who's the buyer? Who's the buyer for that Charizard V-Star Rainbow Rare for 80% of where it's selling today? Who's that person? Why did they think that that was a really good buy? I don't know. I don't think we'll ever know. But there's always like these modern bag holders, and maybe not even just modern bag holder. There's probably a lot of vintage bag holders too. And again, vintage bags, again, I feel for the most part, if you're familiar with the hobby, you can point to super glaring examples of of vintage bags and modern bags. But like vintage bags, I don't even know how many times through different PokeTubers have talked about like Jungle Pikachu and Jungle Eevee and PSA 10 being vintage bags. Like, if you probably were able to somehow like clip every single person that talked about Jungle Pikachu and a PSA 10 Unlimited being a bag, or first edition being a bag, or Jungle Eevees being bags for vintage, if you were able to pull out every single clip, you could probably make like an hour-long video of people just repeating the same thing over and over and over again. And I'm sure most of you guys out there watching this video right now have probably said, yeah, dude, I've heard people say that Jungle Pikachus and Jungle Eevees graded in PSA 10 for first edition cards are huge bags. And it's like, okay, well, people have been saying that now forever. Those things are super obvious, but it doesn't detract from the fact that there was somebody out there buying that card. The same way as there was somebody out there buying Shining Fates for 120 or Hidden Fates. You know, what does a Hidden Fates ETB go for right now? You could probably pick them up. I don't really want to take a guess, but I'm gonna say between $100 and $150. I'm not sure what the current ETB price is for Hidden Fates, but how many people out there bought Hidden Fates for $250? Because there was a lot of sales of Hidden Fates ETBs at $250. So you've got to ask the question of like, all this money is just being sucked dry. Like, people are being sucked dry when it comes to money. Like, the mistakes people are making in this hobby over and over and over again is crazy. But like, what really hurt people for Hidden Fates? Well, what hurt people for Hidden Fates is no one thought it was going to get reprinted. And then Pokemon did decide to reprint it. Now, again, is that wave we just saw a reprint? No, I don't think it is. Probably not. But it doesn't change the fact that it's going to have some sort of effect on the market. But I ask this question. If Pokemon wanted, what sets can they go back and just reprint and reprint until they kill it? Like, for a reprint to kill the market is nothing new. It's nothing new. In fact, we're starting to see like kind of a trend. Like, you look back at Roaring Skies. What did Roaring Skies do? It stonked, and then it had a reprint, prices crashed. And it took a while for Roaring Skies to, recover in price. And really, it took to like 2020 for Roaring Skies to reprint. Ultra Prism. What happened with Ultra Prism? Ultra Prism got a very little, initial wave. And then as it started to roll close to being out of rotation, and everybody saying, okay, I guess we were wrong. Ultra Prism is not going to get a reprint. And everybody kind of looked at each other, was like, yeah, it doesn't make sense for Pokemon to reprint that set now today. What happened? Ultra Prism got a reprint, and booster boxes prices crashed. And it's just like, this circular motion is just happening over and over and over again. And I don't know when that's going to stop. And I like this On the Ball Pikachu, great example of that. Like, I'm looking at all the people spending that. And when that card hit like $1,000 in a PSA 10, that's a freaking lot of money for a modern promo, And it's like, are they buying this card with the true inherent knowledge and risk, at least the understanding in their head that that card is a very possible candidate for a reprint? Or did they just buy that as like a total 100% speculation play? Because that's a very dangerous game to play. Now, I do believe with modern cards, you have the potential to be very successful doing those high risk plays, because you can make the argument to me, and I think it would be a valid argument if you're like, you know what if that Pikachu on the ball, what if it never got a reprint? Then I would say to you was, well, looking at the hype, looking at everything that goes around with it with relatively low print runs, like, yeah, maybe that card would go up. But I would always say that with a caveat, but like, don't buy that card. You should probably pass on that card. And I think that's like one of the more important topics of this video, or more important points of this video, is while it might seem really hard at the time, it's okay to just pass on things once in a while. And I think more people in this hobby need to just get to that realization that it's okay to pass, meaning you missed the boat. If you miss the boat on Cosmic Eclipse, like, sorry, team up, sorry. If you miss the boat on, Dragon Exalted, sorry. If you miss the boat on Crystal Guardians, sorry. Like, if you miss the boat on some of the sealed product, like going back, no matter how far back you want to go, like, sometimes you just have to like accept your losses and move on and realize that there is still so much else out there that is still like relatively investable, collectible, things that are potentially going to still have very strong gains. And one thing I find out over and over again is people, for some reason, don't start talking about products until the trajectory starts going like this. People are never talking about stuff when things start trickling down in prices. And that's a crazy thing, is for every single Pokemon product that exists, every single card that exists, I think that there is always buying opportunities for every single card. A card I think about is like right now, Shining Fates. A lot of Shining Fates being open. Shining Fates Charizard was not investable when that set was first released, and that card raw was selling for hundreds and hundreds of dollars. Now, as Shining Fates is continuing to be open, and that card is continuing to be pulled, and more are hitting the market, and there's so many of those being graded and all this stuff, like, when that price eventually gets low enough, I can see entry opportunities for that card. Now, do I think we're at the entry opportunity level? No, but this is a caveat. And this is what I want everybody out there at least to understand, that there will be buying opportunities eventually for that card. Like, yes, the Shining Fates Charizard, a card that's in the end of the day is going to have 30,000 of those cards graded. Eventually, the prices for even a card like that is super mass produced, a million of them exist in PSA 10s. Eventually, the prices for that will get low enough where I will say, you know what? That's actually a very good entry point for that card. But like, this is the thing. It's like, but you can do that for every product. Like right now. So one thing I always do is I pick up like art sets, but I also pick up like stupid art sets. Like, I pick up art sets of the sleeve blisters and stuff. And I always like to pick up the 3-pack blisters as well, depending on what the promo is. If the promo's good and I like it, like, I'll pick up a couple extra of them. And that's just for my personal collection, stuff like that. That's stuff that I'll just buy whenever. Like, when I got this Typhlosion promo, Astral Radiance promo from GameStop, like, that's what I did. I just went and bought my literally just 4 single pack blisters for $3.99 a piece, just so I could complete my art set, or excuse me, 4 of them, just so I could complete my art set and be done. Now, for booster boxes for Astral Radiance, so far I have currently bought 0 of them, because I think at the time of recording this video, Astral Radiance booster boxes were at like $103 right now. I think that's too much for those. I think prices are going to go down. I think it's a lackluster set. I don't think people are going to enjoy it as much as a lot of people think. I think with Pokemon Go stacking so close to Astral Radiance, like, really, Astral Radiance is only going to be around for about a month. Time of recording this video, it's the end of May. You got all of June, and then July 1st, Pokemon Go comes out. I think people are probably more excited about Pokemon Go than they are Astral Radiance. I think Evolving Skies reprint is going to take away a lot of the like Astral Radiance like hype, because people would rather open Evolving Skies and Astral Radiance. And the fact that Brilliant Stars is such a close set, being such a good set, I think people are just going to flock to that. But with everything I just said, I haven't bought Astro Radiance booster boxes, but I'm going to. But prices aren't where I want them to be. Now, this is the thing too. You know, as a listener of this channel, that I will buy 2 at the very minimum of every single modern booster boxes. One, I'm going to buy 1 booster box for my son's, we call it the dowry on this channel, meaning I'm buying him 1 of every single booster box from like the time he was born all the way up to 18. So that is 1 that I'm definitely going to buy. And then I'm going to buy 1 for my collection. And that's just going to be my personal one. So I have to buy 2 no matter what. So let's just say in a hypothetical situation, Astro Radiance never drops below what it is right now today at the time of recording this video, never drops below $103. Okay. What does that mean for me? It means I'm going to have to, like, in the future, probably take an L and spend 120, 130 on that. So for 2 of them, I'll take like a $40 to $60, loss. But that's the risk I'm willing to take. And I don't know if we're ever going to get around to people just stop FOMOing into Pokemon all the time. And that's the thing, is there are so many good buying opportunities in Pokemon, so many great entry points for Pokemon, but it's about being patient. And I know some people don't like to hear people say be patient there or preach that, but that's what it boils down to. And I don't know if you guys are on Reddit, but on Reddit, one of the pages I follow is just like Pokemon TCG. And it is the most crazy, like polarizing Reddit page I've ever seen. Like some of the super new people coming on, like I think it's actually, like, in a way, a great thing, because one of the questions somebody posted today was they had 2 cards. They had the non-holo rare, just rare card, and then they had the reverse holo of the same card, just the rare reverse holo from Astro Radiance. Somebody had pulled it today, and they had posted both cards, and they asked, they said, did I pull something special? Is there a difference between those 2 cards? Now, for me and you and every single person that will watch this video, like, what the difference between a non-holo rare and the reverse holo of the same card is. Like, you would very easily be able to identify that and know both cards have no value. But the fact that there was still somebody out there who was so new to this hobby, who would pull something like that and feel the need that they had to go on Reddit, make a post, ask for people's opinions to figure out what that thing is, it does show that there are still people moving into Pokemon. Now, if Astro Radiance is the first set that person ever opens, like, that could be great for Pokemon. That could be great for the future of this hobby. Like, I'm amazed by the thought of that. I'm amazed at the thought that Astro Radiance is a lot of people's first ever, like, entry into Pokemon, their first experience. And maybe as they dive deeper and deeper down to the rabbit hole, maybe someday they'll find a channel like this. Maybe someday they'll be communicating with one of you guys in this chat, and they'll go from not knowing what a reverse holo is to knowing, more more nitty gritty of the hobby. But I don't know. See, and that's the thing. It's like, can Pokemon continue to just do this, like, very high trajectory where everything just, no matter what, constantly goes up, and that there is 0% chance that anything could ever retrace in the future? And while I think there is a chance for that, while I personally think Pokemon will have this, price trajectory that continues to go up in the future as sets go out of print and out of all this stuff, but you at least have to entertain the thought that that might not happen, that prices might crash, prices might actually be lower. So when I made my video saying, as I walk through the valley of the $79.95 Chill and Rain booster boxes, and I thought that that's going to be pretty close to the bottom or the floor, and we are not going to see, like, $60 Chill and Rain booster box, I could be wrong. I could be totally wrong. Like, I can at least accept the fact that that is a possibility. While I don't think it's a guarantee, at least there is a possibility to that. So, and as I was making, this video, I had all these thoughts, and it's like, all these thoughts have negative like negative thoughts to them, but they all could be potential positives too. Like, I'm just like, okay, all these negative things that could happen. It's like bulk slabs returning, like the modern economy, interest rates rising, gas prices rising, you know, people's disposable income becoming less and less. And is Pokemon like food, shelter, clothing? It's not. Pokemon is definitely for a lot of people more like a luxury good. So if people start to, have tighter and tighter money issues, like Pokemon is easily one of those things that could be cut out. And it's like huge macro, right? We're going out of Pokemon and we're now looking at the macro of it all and like the effects that the entire global economy could have on Pokemon. But like that's what we do. That's what we do on this channel is we're always constantly looking at everything because again, I made the mistake in the past of saying that I thought we were in like the 10% or the 1%. And I've come to the realization that we are just part of the 0.001%. And that is the truth. And that is just like something that I now have to get behind, that we are not the 1%. We are the 0.1%. And that's what it's going to boil down to. And I think a lot of that is just like maximizing every single purchase we make. We have to understand in our heads and we have to know in our hearts of hearts that like the decisions we're making have to all be long-term plays, because you can't be that person going out and spending $1,000 on the ball Pikachu with the reprint coming. Like that person is now going to potentially be out like $1,000. You know how much product in this hobby you could buy for $1,000? Like $1,000 in this hobby, especially when you're only buying modern, is a insane amount of stuff, an insane amount of sealed product, insane amount of like blisters and ETBs and booster boxes. $1,000 is a lot. It gets you a lot. And it's like, man, that one person lost all that. And then it's like lackluster modern products too. It's like, what does lackluster products do like right now? Like, what if Rebel Clash came out tomorrow? Rebel Clash isn't an old product, but like if Rebel Clash was just released, Astro Radiance luckily had character rares. A lot of people love character rares. You know, Rattle said the most ridiculous thing ever. He put Astro Radiance's top 3 sets, which crazy, but there are people out there who like that set enough to rank it in its top 3, or excuse me, top 3 Sword and Shield sets, I should say. But like there are people that still likes that, but it's like, well, what happened if, Battlestar or Rebel Clash came out? It's like, oh, if Rebel Clash came out tomorrow, it'd be like, that wouldn't be a good thing. That would actually be a like pretty scary thing to think about, that there would be no good chase cards. Or, what if Steam Siege came out or a Crimson Invasion came out as the next set? It's like, and it's like, well, organized play isn't really open yet. I think organized play is actually going to be pretty big for this game in the future, but it's just we're not there yet. We're close. We're just knocking on the door of organized play. And I think like if Pokemon, PTCGO and all this stuff, like Pokemon Online and all this, if they could really get it so it's more user friendly, where they could actually get the app like a super easy app, meaning it's downloadable in the App Store on iOS and stuff like that, something that is much more easier for people to just access, and people don't need VPNs and they don't need all this stuff right now that they need to play. Like if Pokemon could just get all that stuff out, the playability of these cards are huge, but we're not there yet. We're close. We're not there yet. We're just knocking on the door. And then, I look at like some of these, like, I'm not going to make this CGC video, but there's like a lot of CGC bags out there. Man, there's so many CGC bags out there that people are just going to take a card that might have had value and turn it into something without value, and there's probably like a lot of CGC 9s out there that exist that are, well, people will never get their money back from it. I mean, they bought that card raw. They spent the $10 to have it graded, or I think CGC is $15 now. They spent the $15 to have it graded, and they will never see the return from a CGC 9, where maybe somebody in the future will crack that card out and send it the PSA. And assuming it's a strong 9, it'll be a crossover to a 10. It's like, there's a lot of bag holders for cards like that. There's a lot. And, like all the people that were buying unlimited PSA 8s and unlimited PSA 7s during, the Pokemon boom and the height of heights. It's like, those are bag holders. They're bag holders and they will probably never see the return ever. Probably never. And you can go back and you can look at these 2020, 2021 sales of like PSA 8 uncommon cards. And it's like, that is a bag. That is a bag. That is a bag. And that is a vintage card of the most popular set, arguably in Pokemon's history. I think you could easily make that argument, actually. And then it goes to this thought of like, is Pokemon just a pyramid scheme? And if Pokemon's just this pyramid scheme, and it's like you got all the guys up at the top of the pyramid, they're all making the money. And then as that pyramid goes down, you got the next layer will probably make money, and the next layer and the next layer. But then you just have, what's the biggest part of the pyramid? The biggest part of the pyramid is just the base. And you got all these Timmies down there, and they're just losing money left and right. And like one of the things, like maybe it's not actually, maybe it's a bad thing to go to it, but go look at that Pokemon TCG Reddit page and look at how many people ask. They're like, is this card worth money? Did I do good? Did I make money on this booster box? And it's like, well, first off, if your sole intention of opening a Astral Radiance booster box is for making money, you're probably doing this wrong. You're playing the most ultimate lotto game, right? Like the lotto of the lotto. You are just totally gambling. And then why are you opening that booster box if you just want to sell the cards? Like the amount of, it's just, there's so many things that go in there, but, and then, yeah, it runs into and then this is the thing about Pokemon too, which I think is a dangerous thing for the future, is for Pokemon to continue to grow, which I think it will. And for sets to continuously go up in value, you need just a constant infusion of money, and forget vintage slabs, forget, modern graded stuff, forget about current modern booster boxes. If you want Pokemon for newer stuff to continue to go up in price, you need that constant infusion of cash, because think about Astral Radiance. How much Astral Radiance was printed by Pokemon? How many pallets of booster boxes? Pokemon Center ETBs, 3-pack blisters, regular ETBs, single packs, how much just product in general was printed? And then what is the dollar amount that then the hobby as a whole has to eat up? Literally that entire supply of Astral Radiance. Like, what is the dollar amount that's required to eat that all up? And when you talk about a super modern product like Astral Radiance, the dollar amount that's required is not money that is already in the hobby. So it doesn't mean like you can sell your Charizard or whatever, your Charizard graded PSA 10 from Flashfire. It doesn't mean you get to sell that card, take that money, and then buy Astral Radiance. No, because somebody will still be buying that Charizard from Flashfire. So that money was still in the hobby already. In order to buy modern product, newly released stuff, that needs to be new cash infusions, not the same recycled stuff that so many people have seen. Like when I think about some buys I make, I'm like, oh man, this buy was a lot of recycled cash, whether it was through me and the person selling this. And I'm sure the person who bought that recycled the cash, because some of the stuff I'm buying is older, meaning that stuff has already kind of been bought up. It's been recycled through the market. But this new product, I'm telling you guys, it's just a constant infusion of cash that is constantly needed. And then for stuff to really continue to go up in price, especially for modern, is you need that constant infusion. That infusion can't stop, because if it stops, then the prices for stuff will stagnate. Because I've talked about it before, in every single economy class you'll ever take in high school or college, like, it's like Econ 101. When demand outweighs supply, prices go up. If you have 10,000 booster boxes on the market that are available, but you have 10,001 collectors who want that booster box. There will always be demand for that booster box. When happens when people just run out of money. And that's like part of like that price fatigue that I think some people will eventually realize. Like the constant chase of modern for some people can be very tough. And especially if they're looking at it as an investability, because for Pokemon to be investable, I've always talked about there is some stuff that's easily like liquidable, like things that are easy to sell, but some stuff is tough to sell. You'll have to sit on that potentially for years in order to truly make gains that are worth it after you take in, you know, packing supplies and shipping materials and, you know, insurance and the you probably or and not insurance, taxes and eBay fees. And when you bought that product, if you're not an LLC, you probably paid and probably paid taxes on that yourself. So if you bought a ETB for $39.99, you paid taxes, and then you got to pay taxes again when you sell it. Like it takes a lot, but it doesn't take in so much that it's not possible. It's just be careful, be worried about this stuff. But yeah, like I told you, I just had all these thoughts running through my mind all week. I had no clue how I was going to put it all out in one video. I didn't want to make like a bunch of little videos talking about each one of these topics, but it's just crazy. This market right now is crazy. Reprints right now in this hobby are very dangerous in so many different things. I don't think there's anything offline or off limits right now. Like Pokemon did huge reprints of Sword and Shield base ETBs. They skipped Rebel Clash ETBs. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw reprints of, Rebel Clash ETBs. Like there goes the ETB market. Can Pokemon go back? Can they reprint End of Sun and Moon? I don't know. But then this is the thing too, is while I said all that earlier, you look at when Pokemon Center released the Hidden Fates ETBs, when they release the Evolving Skies Pokemon Center ETBs, like this is the caveat, which we cannot deny. How fast did those freaking things sell out? They sold out so fast. And this is a question I have asked now on so many different occasions is how much Hidden Fates would Pokemon still to this day have to produce to bring Hidden Fates prices down to $49.99 for an ETB? How much? Like, how much Hidden Fates would really be required? And the answer is it's just an insane amount. Or, like, how much Cosmic Eclipse does it take to bring that booster box down to $80? How much product would it take for them to reprint Team Up? How much Team Up is required on the market to take that booster box from $800 and bring it down to $90? Like, how much Team Up needs to be printed? And that's like the question, right? It's like I still think the market is strong enough that the good products, the products that are truly good, will get eaten up. But then you look at something like the Ultra Premium Collection. Ultra Premium Collection is probably arguably the hardest product to ever pick up, with the exception of maybe Evolving Skies Pokemon Center ETBs prior to the most recent reprint. Before that reprint came out this week, Pokemon Center Evolving Skies ETBs were probably the hardest things to pick up, only because they were available for one day. And once that one day passed, they were never available again, with the exception of one day. Out of this entire history of this hobby, there was one day. But now we've seen 2 days. But like that's a question with UPCs too, is can Pokemon reprint UPCs? I would say that it's pretty highly unlikely they reprint UPCs, because Pokemon literally went out of their way to say, we're not printing any more celebrations being a very specialized 25th anniversary product and like just all this stuff. But is there just the small, like, and I personally, again, to be clear before I get into the next part of this, is I don't think that is likely. I do not think there will be a reprint of that. But what if there was? And that's something you at least have to consider, whether or not you even think it's possible. I don't care if you don't think it's possible. I told you I don't think it's possible, but you at least have to consider what would happen if that did happen. And I think you would have to consider it by saying people would buy up as much of it as they could. So then I will go to the next question of, I agree with you. If Pokemon's reprinted celebrations UPCs, I agree with you. The market would buy up 100% of them. But then I challenge that question. And now I have to ask you, but how much UPCs would Pokemon have to print to bring prices to $119.99? And when you walk into your random Walmart or Target, it's still sitting on the shelf, meaning it's not being bought. Very similar to, you could probably go, I bet you if you drove to both Target and Walmart right now today, while listening to this video, you could pick up a Darkness Ablaze ETB or a Vivid Voltage ETB. What would it take for that UPC to sit on the shelf the same exact way one of those Darkness Ablaze or Vivid Voltage ETBs is sitting? Like, how much freaking product would it take? And I think the answer is it would take a freaking insane amount. Like, hey, just make believe amount. Almost, it's almost a number that I can't wrap around my head, which when you think about the dollar amount of that product, that is a product that costs $120. Yes, again, we live in, everyone owns booster boxes. Everyone buys booster boxes. Again, we are part of the 0.1%. We're not even part of the 1%. We're part of the 0.1%. The majority of this hobby probably does not buy $100 worth of Pokemon product, you know? And if they were, like, they're not looking at the UPCs sit on the shelves. You know, if there's a case of 4 of them, some loader just loaded on the shelf of 4 of them, most people probably don't look at those and like, I'm going to buy all 4 of those. Just going to buy all 4 of them. Or people that are literally buying 100 of them, or as many as they could possibly get from distributor, and not even getting them from distributors, not selling them, meaning they're getting them from distributors and they're just putting them away in a corner somewhere and letting a tower of. But I want to challenge you and just ask you the question, how much would it take? It would take so much. So if that's the case, if we can get to the point where it's like, okay, in this hypothetical situation, it is really tough to find a number that makes sense. That is also means that this market is still super strong, because we can't, the people watching this video, like, we can't buy up 100% of that market. Like, it would just be impossible. So that means that the rest of the market still has to be so strong. And Astro Radiance, I think, will be a set that will be readily available for the next couple years. I don't think booster boxes will go crazy, and it will really take for Pokemon to just make that thing go out of print. And then after it goes out of print, it will take a while to make its way through like distributors that are still sitting on pallets of it, and will do sales of it for the next couple years. Like, such a super modern set. But it is amazing that when Pokemon makes a good premium product, it will sell. Like, Jolteon, Vaporeon, Flareon Ultra Premium Collection boxes. Those things are freaking hot. I made a video about that the day I saw that they were being even made into a product. I made a video talking about, I think those things are going to freaking sell good. And that was in December of 2021. I think I made that, or November 2021. As soon as the very first leaked images of those products came out, I made a video talking about how I thought those were great. And that just goes back to this whole thing is like, I think Pokemon is the most predictable freaking hobby ever, but you can't buy everything. That's why you just got to be patient. You got to sit back. You got to wait. I don't know. Uh, yeah. So Rattle says he thinks they could print anything into the ground these days. No, I think you're right. I think they could print anything, but for some of the stuff, it just you gotta ask how much is required though. And if that is the case, like then what happens after all that gets reprinted? Like, do people when do people like start losing faith in the market and stuff like that? Like, it's interesting. But yeah. So somebody said, so I'm gonna spend like the next 15 minutes opening up to any questions from the chat. If you guys have any questions, now's the time that you ask them. Just say at Knowledge and I'll read them. Gauk said, I mean, we saw how much they printed the Hidden Fates tins in 2020. People stayed over MSRP in the middle of the reprint and shut up to the $65 a tin within a year. So I don't think those tins made it to $65 a tin that quick. I want to say they were like double for a while, like $40. And the tins you're talking about, I'm guessing, is like the Charizard, Raichu, Gyarados tins. But even like Hidden Fates ETBs, even before like the market went absolutely insane, like ETBs were selling for like $80 for a while too. Let's see. Yes, people are talking about Japanese cards as not being printed to the ground. Let's see. What doesn't? Yeah. So Kevin Clare said, what doesn't make sense is why people are buying Vivid and Darkness at his Walmart when it's cheaper online and they should be sitting. And Kevin brought up a good point. Like the thing about modern product, which is something a lot of people need to take into account, is modern product is always like Walmart and Targets. While we quote that as being the MSRP, that is always like the most expensive way to pick up products. But when the hype was going crazy in 2020, 2021, channels like mine, a lot of other people, we would say you need to at least pick it up at MSRP. Don't spend more. But Kevin's right. Like historically, paying MSRP for a product was actually like, in a way, a bad buy. But it was just the time period that we were living in, like demand, that it was like, okay, buy at MSRP. But now that we're getting back to like pre 2020, like 2019 times, 2018 times, like the time you wanted to pick up modern is when websites were doing fire sales. And, you know, when you could pick up a collection box for like sometimes 50% off, like he's right. Like, I think we are getting back to that. Rattle said, Pokemon company doesn't care if you have a modern box that is worth $800 on the secondary market. He's right. They don't care. But it asks the question, like, how far back does Pokemon go, or how far back could they go? Like, I guess hypothetically they could probably go all the way back to like Ruby Sapphire. Like, I guess in like the most crazy of hypotheticals, which like I'm not even gonna go down. Like, that's almost too much for me to even like make that, but like they can go back till the set right after Wizard of the Coast, because like with all the lawsuits and everything with Wizard of the Coast, but like they could reprint any of that. And then we've even seen it with like celebrations, like they could even reprint the Wizard of the Coast artwork, which they did with base set, and then evolutions and stuff like that. So who knows? Let's see. Dylan Smith said, Poke Knowledge, could you start a text list to alert people when you see reprints like the ones you saw this week? Dylan, if get yourself a Twitter, there's a million different like I follow Pokemon TCG drops on Twitter. I'm sure most people who are watching this video also follow the same Twitter account. Put alerts on for just him, and when he posts stuff, like look at it. There'll be a lot of stuff that you won't be interested in, but when the really good ones drop, like you definitely want to have your alerts on. Let's see. Wes said the Pokemon company don't like seeing secondary market charging double for in rotation sets. Roaring Skies is an example. Yeah, we talked about Roaring Skies earlier. He's right though. Like Pokemon Center, they do not care about the secondary market, which Rattle said earlier, but they're definitely aware of the secondary market. Like they are very aware at what sets are selling and what prices are. And that's why I'm saying like special delivery Pikachu, special delivery Bidoof, special delivery Charizard, which will come out eventually. I think it's just a matter of when, it's not a matter of if. Like they're going to crush those prices, I think, because they're seeing what the prices are doing. Let's see. Cheval said, what about our free tendies? After everything, booster box is $80 to $140. Then they can go back. Yeah. So Rattle said Ultra Prism reprint was out of standard. So I want to say Ultra Prism reprint was technically not out of standard. I want to say Ultra Prism was going out of rotation in like a 2-week window from when that was reprinted, meaning Ultra Prism got released or got reprinted. And I think there was like a 2-week window, if I remember correctly. This is going back a little bit, but yeah. So, all right, guys, I just wanted to make this video again. As I've talked about it in the past, sometimes I just have a lot of like internal dialogue. I need to get it out, especially when the market's going crazy. This was just a exciting week for Pokemon in general, with between your Pokemon Center like reprints and the on the ball Pikachu and Astral Radiance was released today. But if you guys are just tuning in now, don't forget to go to your GameStop and get your Astral Radiance promo. You got to spend $15. No, this video is not sponsored by GameStop. But for all you guys out there, appreciate you guys joining. Do me a favor, smash that like button before you leave. Hit the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed. And I'll catch you guys on the next video.